Welcome to Mindshifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Well, hello, everybody, and this is really weird. I guess Michael and I just did the first 8 minutes on our own, just the two of us. Anyway, life with technology. I don't know if it's because our show begins immediately as Carol ends, and perhaps there's a crossover between her signing out and me signing in, but anyway, we still just have two people in the switchboard, on the chat room. So if you're trying to get in the chat room, please do a refresh or something and get you back in there. We do have Dr. Tim and Dr. David both with us, and we do have a caller already.
Awesome. Yeah, that was weird. When I called in, I actually was able to be in on as the moderator after about 3 tries on Carol's show. So there was something kind of strange that happened in the switchboard. So our apology. We had an awesome opening, everybody. Sorry you missed it.
Yeah, we did.
And, so we'll just very briefly, with the caller waiting, we'll just very briefly put out the invitation that we always put out, and that is that we together, collectively and individually, put an end to war when we choose to go inside ourselves and be responsible for what's going on inside of us and change it. That is to forgive. And the word forgive doesn't mean I let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me. It's the tool with which I go inside of me and remove what never belonged. And so we're here to support you in that process and invite you to help us put an end to war by becoming one of the people on the planet who exists as a fully human being. And if you ever forget what a human being is, just imagine holding a newborn child, and you know exactly what a human being is. So welcome to the show. Let's say hello to Dr. Tim quickly and to David and see if those gentlemen have anything, and then let's go to our caller.
Well, hello.
Oh, hey, we made it. That was a strange start.
I want you to repeat the fabulous opening.
Oh, sorry.
Repeat.
No, you had to be there.
It was like 8 minutes, I guess, of just Michael and I. I could hear him just fine. But then when you said that there was no sound coming across, so thank you for typing that into the chat room. And now we've got 6 people in the chat room, and we've got 12 people on the switchboard. So there was just some kind of glitch in the technology, and we're here now.
Good deal. Well, we're doing well here. How are you, David?
I'm doing very well, Ken, and so we can get to the caller. And also, I wonder if it was recorded so we can go back and listen to it.
I don't know. We'll find out.
I have no idea. We'll just have to see what comes out on the in the end result. Something happened with with Carol doing her show right behind us. There's one phone that can dial in as the moderator, and so I dial in, and the first 2 or 3 times I dialed in as the moderator, the thing refused my call, and then about the 4th time I dialed in, and Carol usually finishes her show 30 seconds, 45 seconds early. I dialed in, and it didn't kick me out as moderator. It let me in, and I could hear the rest of her show, the last 45 seconds or so of her show. So somehow I got in there, but I didn't get in as the moderator. So I think that's what happened, and so I doubt that it was recorded. But anyway, it's out there in the ethers.
Yeah. So our caller is area code 517. I think that's Michigan.
It sure
Welcome.
is.
That sounds
Hi, Rex.
dancing and probably Rex.
Yes, Michael, and I was just following up on your request to call you back to let you know what's happening. So I wanted to, it sounds like you got everything going. We're just sitting in the Lansing airport on a delayed flight, getting ready to go to Texas.
What's happening in Texas?
It's where my mother lives. So we're going to see my mother and my father-in-law, or my stepfather, excuse me, and just enjoy our time there for a week and a day.
Awesome. Well, have a safe flight, and keep that to us while you're there. Maybe you'll gather a group of folks in Texas. Who knows?
We'll have to see. It's in a real small community, but yeah. Well, I'll get off the line here. I just wanted to follow through on what you had asked me to do, and I tried to call you, and it would have been better to just do it this way. So God bless you. God bless everybody, and we love you.
Travel safely.
All right, thanks. Bye.
So any other callers? Anything happening in the chat room?
No, that's all for right now. Our calling number.
Oh, go ahead.
Our calling number, since everybody missed that one at the beginning too, is 646-200-4169, and then press 1. That'll put you in queue to talk to Michael.
And so if you've got a question for me, for Jeanie, for David, for Tim, Dr. Tim, 646-200-4169. We would love to hear your sweet voice. We would love to be able to support you in deepening your understanding, your experience, and your ability to carry out the process of forgiveness as it was taught in the original Aramaic 2,000 years ago.
We have a hand up. Area code 9. You're on the air.
Hello, my heart family. This is Nene.
Hello, Nene. Welcome.
Hello. Well, I have a couple of things to share, and very interesting about this beautiful process of the forgiveness and how it changes the inside content. This morning I had my car broke down. I was driving on 826, and my car broke down, and I responded so much calm and confidence, and step up outside the road, and then I had the road helping me. The road helped. And then I texted my friend Maria, and then she said, just breathe, keep love present. And I was there waiting for my car to be fixed, really, really breathing and just enjoying a beautiful day. So that was pretty awesome to see my response is different.
Definitely much better than the old fear-based response that our culture's taught us to have, isn't it?
Yep. And then also I've been talking to my daughter. You know, she's back in Venezuela, and I've been very touched inside in seeing her for what she really is, her awesome presence and her awesome true nature. And so we spoke, and she sounds really, really happy. She sounds very vibrant. I could hear the difference. And, you know, she's doing her work, doing her worksheets. And then today I had to buy a little present for a baby, for my grandnephew. And I was there at the store, and when I was looking at the little clothing, I got into tears. And the tears of when you see the newborn. And I realized that this is how I'm seeing my daughter. Everything she says or she does, I'm seeing her again like she truly is. Because before, whatever she would do, there would be always correction. No, you do this, you don't do that, you don't, in the old carbon base. And now I notice myself so tender also, and perceiving life more cute, more soft, more pure.
Sounds like a human life to me.
Yes.
Well, congratulations for the difference that you make. That's a really fabulous contribution to all of humanity.
Yep. So, so due to the car breaking down this. I will not be able to come to Sarasota tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, but I have arranged for a Tuesday night for the support group at the Grace Cafe, so I'm going to email you and Jeanie so you can invite everybody to come on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. at the Grace Cafe in Fort Lauderdale. So, finally.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
Marie couldn't do the driving tomorrow, eh? We'd love to see you guys.
Yes, but it's going to be a little difficult. We'll see what can happen in the rest of the day.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Wonderful. Well, I'm delighted that you're changing the world, you know, the world between your ears. And when you change the world between your ears, you change the world outside of you. Most people want to go the other way around. Change the world outside of me, then the world between my ears can change. And that's kind of like that old thing of, you know, I will strike this match after this fire gives me heat. And it works the other way around. And so thank you for supporting the presence of human life in your daughter and in yourself and in all the world, because that's exactly what's going to change the dynamic on planet Earth. So awesome work, young lady.
Thank you. So I'll forward, you know, the address and everything, because a lot of people have called me for the support group, so I'm very, very delighted to know that, you know, it's creating mass and more people are interested. Very, very nice. So I'm for it.
Yes, I think the group we worked with down there, and when we did Pompano a few weeks ago, and then in Fort Lauderdale, I think there are a lot of people who are seriously ready to do the work. And so thank you for being willing to give them that ongoing support so that they continue it, you know, strongly enough that they'll continue it. So it's awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, big hug.
All right, blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
So I feel so blessed to be in the world at this time with all the insanity that we humans have done, and I mean all of us, and that we have the privilege of access, perhaps for the first time in 2,000 years, to the teachings of the man who knew how to make the difference. And so we're humbled and honored to be sharing it with you. Thank you. Jeanie, do we have any callers? Anything happening in the chat room?
We do. We have another caller, area code 970. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hey, Michael and Jeanie. It's Carrie in Colorado. Hi.
Well,
how's everybody today?
We're rocking.
Well, you know, I have been listening to some of the old archived radio shows on power person, codependency, interdependency, and one of the things you guys talk about on there is community. And, you know, just listening to those old radio archives even makes me feel like I'm part of a community because there's more minds there helping me process and learn. And it's amazing to me how my brain cells are growing and how they really had to stretch in order to encompass all this. And especially around the area of the power person dynamics, I'm still exploring and finding that really interesting, and you know, being able to look at myself and see what's there. And at one point, Michael, you had said to me, you bet I remembered the moment at which the guy I had been in a relationship with was at the moment at which we became each other's power person. And we didn't really see each other anymore. And I had thought of this one incident, but now that I've been listening to the tapes and kind of going deeper with it, I remember very early in our relationship when he said to me, I raised my voice to him, and he said, no one in my family ever raised their voice. That is not something I'm willing to have in a relationship. And I just remember that now as I'm clearing some of these levels, and how right at that moment I think we both must have acted out
our power person dynamic.
I would just about guarantee that was the moment, and here's what happened. Far and deep in his memory is the day when his power person raised their voice and he went into terror and gave up his true being. That moment is so painful that few people will ever have the courage to go back and recapture it directly and clean it out. Remember, the key to when you start going through someone's power person file, when all of a sudden the body that they think you are is replaced, what I call relationship substitution, is replaced with an image based in the power person dynamics, is the day you violated a goal that they had for their power person. And you can bet from that language that there was a point where he had a goal. He formed a goal in a mind that was perhaps, just a tender 2 or 3 years of age, long gone from memory. And his goal was, I don't want, and of course it's always, in that case, it's done out of non-being. It's done in a negative form. Boy, I don't ever want to get that kind of voice pointed at me again. And at that moment, when you violated that goal, you activated his power person file, and all of a sudden, that's when the relationship with what he thought was you ended. And once that happens, usually it doesn't take very long before the other person does the behavior, and it becomes tit for tat. And we have to be really cautious to rise above that, to stay above that, and to change that dynamic. And then, the only person that can the only one that can let you out of his power person file is him. It's not up to you. He's going to have to say, all right, I understand the dynamic. If he were to do his work, I understand the dynamic, and now I'm going to do what it takes to remove her from that power person file. And when he does, that will be the moment of his supreme healing. But it takes tremendous courage, because the moment at which, the point at which that occurs is the point at which we give up the direct, awesome experience of ourselves as love and buy into this fear-based, non-being self that has to obey in order to survive, that has to do something, that thinks that they become a human doing, that in order to survive with the power person, they have to do whatever that something is. And so I think you're clicking right into it. You're right on track, and who knows, if you guys do some more worksheets, there might come a point where that conversation will be able to gently open, and it will look like, by letting you out of that file, he's doing you a favor, which he would be, but it will be the moment of his supreme healing as well. And so it's a gift to give himself.
I just can't even tell you how deep that realization is taking me. I mean, it's just amazing. It's like,
I understand.
And into, layers with my dad, and I have been doing, all this stuff is getting activated as I keep listening to I think I've got 5 radio shows on an iPod, and I've probably listened to them all 3 times because I haven't had time to go download some more. And I just keep going deeper and deeper. I'm painting a house, and by the end of the day, I'm going and doing worksheets on everything that came up. Today I decided I'm going to take the worksheets with me and do them as I go along, because there's so much unraveling, and it's awesome. It's really great. And I wanted to just share one other. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, it really is amazing how much we can hide from ourselves, isn't it? When you start unraveling the dynamics that are in there that we had no clue and no idea, and certainly didn't want to have a clue and didn't want to have an idea because it was too painful to touch. And that's the other thing to be aware of as you're unraveling. In that unraveling process, be conscious and be aware, because there's a place where there's a danger involved. And the danger is, as I unravel this, my mind will organize its realities around current circumstances to make it look like this is current circumstances and real in this moment. And you've got to be very conscious and cognizant, and that's why, you know, usually before we have people do the codependence workshop, we do healing through relationships where we get into the commitment. And I make a commitment, instead of doing what I feel like doing, I make a commitment to live by a certain set of principles, and they are the principles that will maintain my humanness, which is this awesome active presence of love. And so when that non-being mind, when that power person dynamic opens, the mind it's so amazing at the way that it can organize every circumstance to look just like everything I'm feeling, everything I'm seeing, everything. It really is real right now in the moment. But what you know 100% of the time is if there's hostility or fear in your mind. And this is, I mean, I'm still learning this piece of the puzzle personally, and I've been teaching this for over 40 years. The brainwash of the culture that it's all somebody else's fault is so deep. But to recognize that if there's some form of hostility or fear in me, that's a signal that my mind is generating an hallucination, and I'm pretending that what's going on inside of me, my hallucination, is true about something outside of me, and that the solution lies outside of me, and it just never does.
I wanted to ask you, somewhere I heard, I thought it was on one of the radio shows, that really the main emotion, even though it says fear and anger on the worksheets, that anger is really just fear covered up. Is that accurate, or am I misunderstanding that?
Well, actually, anger is a drug. Anger is an internally produced chemical that anesthetizes us against feeling the fear and whatever goes along hand in hand with the fear. So anger is an addictive substance produced internally, and it's a tough drug to break free from. All forms of hostility are anesthetics produced internally. Over the years, and you know, I know you've done a lot of processing with people and a lot of healing work, and just remember back to any time, I don't care what it was, and somebody was in there, rah, anger, you know, I'm going to kill that FB mode, and you were able to get them to drop it for just 1 second, they dropped right into their pain, right into their trauma. That is always a drug. And so it's the cover. And when we're willing to forgive and let go of the anger, then comes the real trauma, and that is the pain that we were covering up with it. And it's, you know, it's awesome to watch it happen. You know, if you imagine with what you're listening to in an intensive, we'll be working with a total live food. We'll be doing 6 to 10 hours a day of class time and moving this information, this energy, and it's amazing the way that it all unfolds. It's pretty cool.
That makes sense. Kind of like the emotional tone scale, which I won't get into, but that I can see everything kind of moving up scale as you take the layers off, sort of. Moving up in your pain.
Absolutely.
One other thing I wanted to share that has been really interesting is I came to this caretaking job. I ended up at the ranch, and I have a certain number of tasks I'm supposed to do every day, but the old caretaker kind of trashed the house that she was living in when she left, and I was waiting to move into it. And so I'm ending up painting that whole house. And I actually did some worksheets last night on how and all I really want to do is my own work, and I'm my own writing and websites and that kind of thing, and I saw this job as a vehicle for that. But I've been pretty much working 10 and 12-hour days since I got here to kind of clean up what I walked into. And so, you know, I've been asking myself, what did I do to create this? And one of the things I did a worksheet on last night is how I was taught as a child to just be quiet and do what I was asked, and a lot of it had to do with hard work. And you know, to the point of setting aside all of my own personal needs. And so I did a couple of worksheets on that last night. And this morning, these people had a dinner party last night, and they wanted me to come and clean up after it. And I said to them, look, you know, if I can just, you know, stay with it. I don't mind doing the painting, but if I can just stay with it for a couple of days and not have to keep getting distracted doing something else, I can get it done. Otherwise, you guys are, you're going to lose me because I'm going to fade away here because 2 hours here and 2 hours there. And they were like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. We can clean up here, and you just keep doing what you're doing. And I mean, it's one little micro step. I know it's not where I want to end up totally, but it's a micro step for me of peeling away those layers, I'm sorry, from my childhood and speaking up for myself and taking a breath and getting a positive response because I knew that I was coming from a really good place. And I don't know.
Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply.
Anyway. Are you
still with us?
Michael? Yeah.
I am, yes. I lost you for a moment.
Yeah. Yep, so that's it from here. Just, I guess, watching the process happen and really excited about it and grateful. So.
Cool. Well, you're, there's a fabulous idea from A Course in Miracles that says, when you are healed, you are never healed alone, and that millions yet unborn will benefit from the work you do. And so as you open this space, you're opening the possibility on planet Earth for every person who's been locked into that, which is just about every person. And, it's just like recognizing that we're all in this together. We're all doing this individually and collectively, and as we do our work, we get to come out the other side, and it's an awesome thing to do.
Yay. Well, if Jeanie can just disconnect me so I can still hear, that'd be great. And you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks,
We
Terry.
appreciate you, Terry, and we're delighted that you're on the team and doing your work.
All right. We don't have any other callers. No, we do not, and there's nothing going on in the chat room, so take it away.
Well, where would you like me to take it to?
Wherever you want to go.
Okay. Well, Dr. Tim, let's see if Dr. Tim has or David has any thoughts on what we were just talking about with Carrie, because it's such a deep topic that, of course, we're all in process about. So, David, Dr. Tim, do you have any thoughts for us? And especially on what Gary just said?
Well, I have the great fortune to run into those old brain power person dynamics that are stored in me on a regular basis. Are you there?
I am. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure who's. Somebody needs to mute because it's like a ding, like at a gas station or something.
Or a computer that's telling them they can't load a page or something.
Yeah. So it's either David, Tim, or Michael, because you're the only three that are on right now.
Well, I was mentioning the other day when we were talking to, when just Jeanie and I were on, about one of those that had come up, and it sounded very similar to what, at least to my ear, to what Carrie was saying, is that this old energy got activated in me, so when my partner would hold a certain position or go into frustration or go into tears, rather than my usual warm, comforting response, I would get triggered to feeling overwhelmed. And it was clearly an old pattern, and it took worksheets and it took the energy work that I do with my partner to reveal to me that it was about the dynamic that began very early in my life and continued all the way until I was, sophomore or junior in high school. And the way the external pattern was broken was that my grandmother dropped the body and moved on. But the internal pattern, as I've discovered in the past few weeks, has continued ever since. So the more I become aware of those and dismantle them from my energy system, the lighter and easier my life gets.
You mean kind of like your whole world transforms in the twinkling of an eye? How amazing.
Yep, it certainly does. Yeah, it's just been amazing how in the past, in just the past week, it's not that I'm able to respond differently. I don't even have to put effort into it. My responses are different. What's getting stirred up in me is different, which tells me I have effectively removed some of the old blockages, some of the old energy that was getting triggered, and I am just in a very different space when those similar activities on the outside are happening.
Well, oftentimes, you bring up a good point. Oftentimes, I'll hear when we talk about speech and what we call regulatory speech and how our perception and behaviors are governed by regulatory speech. And at first, when you start to interrupt someone's speech patterns, because if you get too far away from them, they get kind of lost and forgotten. And people, they go into that interruption thing. It's just like, well, just let me talk. I just want to get it out. You won't let me say anything. So, well, but if you're saying things that tell your mind to tell you lies, what good is it saying it? And then the next phase is usually, well, then just tell me the right words to say. Then everything will be okay. And as you just pointed out, it's not about saying the right words. Whatever's in your heart, go back into the ancient scriptures where they understood this whole process, and they said, your words come from the abundance of your heart. When you change the content of your heart or your dissociated mind, then your words will change. It's not about the head learning a new set of words to set on top of the quote-unquote wrong words. There are no wrong words. They're all perfect words, and they reflect our content. And when we're willing to work with those, when we're willing to use what the world might call wrong words or destructive regulatory speech and recognize that it's perfect because now I'm aware of what's there, and I can now go to work and change it. And then the next time I'm in that circumstance, it's like it's changed. I don't have to effort, as you said. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to do anything. It's just I made the shift. I made the change. And, it always humbles me and boggles my mind and amazes me that this understanding was on planet Earth 2,000 years ago and that it was lost. And part of that humbling, being humbled in it, is the awesome gratitude for the fact that we get to do this. It's amazing.
Well, the other thing I would say is that this came up in another session I had with someone this morning, and that's the idea that what I'm doing with this work when I'm actually pursuing it is not controlling my behavior and my responses as much as it is watching my behavior and responses, and when anything less than love comes up, rather than just toughing it out, gritting my teeth and moving through it without barking at someone or without feeling the sadness or the pain, or feeling the sadness and moving ahead and doing the next right thing anyway. With this work, what I'm doing is using those responses that come up in me as an indication that I've got garbage in me I want to get rid of. So I either in the moment, or if I can't do it in that moment, in the near future, I go take the tools and say, wow, remember earlier this morning when I got triggered to upset and almost barked at my kid? I want to do a worksheet on that. I want to do some tapping on that. I want to journal about that until I figure out what was inside of me that got triggered that I don't want to be there anymore. I want to dismantle this. That it isn't just about getting better at treating people more nicely. We're not just teaching people skills for managing their behavior. This is a set of tools for actually removing the garbage within me that gets triggered and starts to enact or act through me or have me act out of control of it in ways that I really don't like in my sane moments. These aren't my ideal ways of responding. So it's not just trying to practice responding more nicely and being more patient. It's about removing the stuff within me that triggers me to act in those ways.
Precisely. And when you look at the insanity of the fact that this has been known on the earth for thousands of years, and it's been hidden, it's been removed. I mean, hey folks, let's teach this in kindergarten. Now, you start teaching it in kindergarten, and the people who want to control those kindergarten minds all the way up into adulthood are not going to like it. Because all of a sudden the mind is not available for control anymore. The mind now functions out of its original genius. So we're looking to restore the original genius of each person as a human being. And what the world does is it's best to beat that out of us and to have us function as it would have us function. And so, puts all kinds of, we talked the other day about TSRs, terminate and stay resident programs. It puts in all kinds of programs that, and I mean literal structures within us that are just like the computer program. If you look down in the right-hand corner, I don't know about Macs, I'm not a Mac person, but if you look in the right-hand corner of any Windows program, you'll see a number of small icons going there, and none of them are active programs. They're called TSRs, terminate and stay resident. And in order to rip us off for our human lives, what the world does is it installs literally from the beginning, and it's done through punishment. By and large, by punishment, by putting down, it installs these TSRs that on a minute's notice and for any reason. I'll go into that non-being self. I'll go into self-disapproval. I'll go into self-anger, self-hatred, self-judgment, self-vengeance. And, any or no stimulus will do just fine to bring that forward within the mind. And the whole idea of this work is to be able to touch into that and to be able to change that dynamic in ourselves and literally remove those terminate and stay resident programs.
Well, when you're talking about that innate genius in each of us, the individual innate genius in each of us, it's a bit of a segue into the presentation I'm doing Sunday at the Unity Church, which is what is your true purpose and how do you define it and how do you pursue it? And the talk is built around your process from purpose, personal power, and commitment, and the recognition that each of us is different. Each of us has different things that we're good at and that we like to do. And that's not a random thing. We can choose a purpose for those skills and those talents and desires that we have. And if we do that and define for ourselves our purpose, we focus our power to do good in the world and amplify it in ways and get supported from the outside in unseen ways that we could never imagine if we don't have that focus.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here to support everyone in discovering and doing, and to be aware when we're rolling along and any excuse that comes up, one of these TSRs will kick in, and we'll go into that self-disapproval, self-put-down, and or when that comes up, we'll hallucinate and blame somebody else for putting us down when it's an internal TSR. And as we apply forgiveness to those internal TSRs, we just get to be finished with it. And, it's just so awesome. It's just so fabulous to be alive on planet Earth and having the opportunity to share these tools with people and to do what we're doing. So, Jeanie, do we have any other callers? David, I still haven't heard your voice. Do you have any thoughts? We're going all the way back to the conversation with Carrie and the codependent stuff. Anything that you might have to add to the conversation for us, David?
Thank you, Michael. The first thought that came to my mind when you were talking about the things resonating and falling into our awareness of them was the story that you talked about the other day when we were in Florida and we had the situation where we were getting ready to do some still point breathing. We were actually just doing some practice with it and understanding how it worked. And there was a person that wanted to do it with someone other than their partner, and they wanted to do it with me. So we had this discussion. There's 20-some-odd people that are there, and everyone got triggered by but at different phases of it. It wasn't like that this one statement made by this one person resonated in everyone. It was a combination of things that her stuff came up, and then her partner's stuff came up, my stuff came up. Everyone then started doing behavior based on the level of stress that was rising to. And what I thought about was that, it's such a challenge. Here there are 20 people that have agreed to do some of this healing work, have said that they're willing, and yet even with 20 people that are so willing, that everyone's stress raised up and everyone started behaving pretty much the way that they did with their prior person.
Well, let's just key in there, David. You bring forward a really good point, and what most people want to do, because they don't know what it is that's causing their stress level to go up, is they hold a goal for somebody's behavior to change so their stress level won't continue to rise. So in that particular situation, the one person who, let's say maybe dad used to rage at them, as soon as, her partner, male, started to raise his voice and, like, what's wrong with me? You're my partner. We've been working together for 3 days. So that person has a goal for that male partner to just, hey, why don't you just be quiet and cooperate here? And that raises the stress level of the person who's holding that goal by loading that goal into their minds. And when we load goals into our minds and get locked into that stress, that's when the power person dynamic comes up, and why it's so important to be doing the forgiveness work on an ongoing basis. And the forgiveness work, in essence, is removing goals which lowers stress. And we don't have to go back into those power person behaviors. We can consciously, purposely allow those dynamics to open, look into them, and change them. Let them go. And so that's the whole idea. And as you say, different parts of that whole discussion triggered different people, and that's one of the goals in an intensive, is to get everything resonating, everything moving, everything coming up for people. And it gives a whole new meaning to laying them in the aisles, because at that point, that's time for everybody to lay down and breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a domino effect of that, and that's what the point I was making with it is that there is this domino effect of different stresses and different triggers that come up for everyone. And the whole idea of what's the answer to it, and, as you just now said, well, at that particular moment, it's to stop and let's lay down and breathe. And though that there's a different tool for each, I think that fits perfectly for every situation. It may be, that we would have stopped and did worksheets, or maybe we were just quiet for a moment, or maybe we did have the opportunity to lay down and breathe. And of course, the mind wants to come up with, well, what about this situation? What about that situation? That's just another mechanism in order to avoid what it is that's really going on at that particular moment. So when callers call in and they ask, like, well, what should I do, or how can I do this, or what needs to happen, I'm always supporting people in doing this work consistently every day. And especially at the beginning of doing this work, we recommend doing the 5 worksheets a day for 40 days. That's just the opening. That's just the beginning of it. And most people are a little reluctant to do that, and to take on larger things. Well, then you have to build the foundation with this. That there are always going to be situations. It's unnecessary to go out and look for situations. They will always appear there. The time for healing is always going to be presented. And any time that there is a stress that's being presented, there's also a solution to that. It's just the way that it works. And so if people are doing their work, and, in your purpose, personal power, and commitment, one of the videos, since Tim is getting ready to talk about that as well, is that, we suggest, request, and, it's required to spend minimum of 10% of your day in doing your spiritual healing work. I mean, and most people hear that, 2.4 hours, 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes, however the person determines it, every single day. Yes, every single day. If to spend 30 minutes each day, then these other things are going to open up. You need to be in practice with that. So nice to have the radio show each day to be able to tap into, to receive a little more intellectual understanding of it. And it's when people are interacting with each other and through the conversations on the telephone. I assure you that most people, that if they do the call-in, then they'll get more value from interacting with everyone that's on the show than just listening to that. So that's my support, is that continue doing and get involved in your own life, which is what you're involved in it anyway. You may as well choose to live it with joy and peace. That's all.
Well, and you make the point well, David, because what usually happens is the non-being mind will pop in and it says, well, let's just solve this problem. Then I won't have to face and I won't have to deal with this. But the idea of doing the work is to get to the point where it will come up. And, when you start opening a number of different files by carrying especially an excess of goals, then know that those deepest power person issues are going to come to the surface, and they are going to play out and have their way. And you can't solve that problem. You can only forgive that. You can only heal that. And then coming from a space of true being where we stand in our real personal power, then we have the ability to impact circumstances in a way that supports our power.
Yeah, the solution.
Go ahead.
Well, the solution to the problem is to do the forgiveness work. The problem, the answer to the problem, is already there. We have to it's the removing of the hostility and fear that then exposes the solution. It's not like thinking about it. To me, intuitively, I know exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I know what to do. That doesn't mean that I'm going to do it, though. one of my teachers said, what? What was that, Michael?
I hear that one. It's like, welcome to the human life, welcome to the non-human life. The life
that
wants
that's part of
a game other than real human life.
Yeah. So to me, that's part of it, is that, I recognize it and I'm aware of it. And just because that I'm aware of something doesn't mean that I have the solution to it. I'm aware that when I'm angry, most people are aware that when they're angry and they're stressed and stuff, that's kind of the warning signal, wow, this is a little uncomfortable, yeah. Then when it gets so far, that's when the total acting out of that behavior goes on. Maybe the next time when the thought that's coming up to me is around violence and what it is that happens with people in violence. And we'll save that for another show of why people do the things that they do. Is really doing physical harm to people. How can people even do that? Well, when they're in that stage and they're already up there, there's no feelings with that. There's just the action that's going on with it. So, anyway, another show maybe.
Oh, and we'll finish the show off. We're just about at the completion point, but we'll finish the show off with a thought that applies to exactly what we're talking about, and that is an old South Florida saying, and that is, it can be hard to remember that the objective was to drain the swamp when you're up to your butt in alligators. So we join with everybody in draining your swamps, forgiving, removing what never belonged, and by doing so, creating awesome, amazing, supportive relationships and lives and the best year yet of your eternal life. We're here to support you in that. Thanks for joining us. Bring a strange to the show tomorrow. One more workshop tonight in Sarasota. Come join us. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.